Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where I discuss topics about spirituality, metaphysics, and personal growth. If you're interested in learning about these topics, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. In general, I've always been fascinated about the moon and eagerly sought out different people's opinions about the metaphysical and spiritual significance of the moon. At present, I feel inspired to talk about the moon, its place in astrology, and differing theories about how it affects us. So in this video, I'm going to summarize some basic information about the moon that will offer you a place to start to further your own research if it calls to you. In a physical sense, the moon is known to affect the water of the planet by the raising and the lowering of the tides. It's been deduced that because we as humans are made up of 60 to 70% water, the moon also has very powerful effects on us as well. Police workers have been reported to admit that they don't like working on full moons because of a higher crime rate, and hospital records also consistently show higher numbers of emergency room visits during the full moon phase as well. It's also interesting to note how the moon has played into our use of language. The word lunatic is derived from the Latin word luna, or moon, and entered English vernacular in the 1300s because people believed insanity was caused by the differing phases of the moon. In Western astrology, the moon represents the divine feminine, the negative polarity as represented by the dark segments of the yang on the yin and yang symbol. The light of the sun, our soul, is the only true source of light that shines on the moon. The moon itself doesn't source its own light, but transfigures and reflects the light of the sun. The moon represents the subconscious as it usually comes out during the darkness of the night. Looking at the natal chart, we can see that the lower part of the circle that is untouched by the light of the sun, or the light of awareness, is the part of us that is out of our conscious awareness, also known as the subconscious or unconscious. We see the concept of the subconscious in the Moon Tarot card. The Moon Tarot card illustrates the moon reflected in watery depths that represent the subconscious mind. It usually shows up in a reading when we're letting past hurts and memories of past emotion haunt our present. Also, when we're suppressing our emotions and they're becoming buried deeper within the wells of our subconscious. An interesting idea is that the body, in a way, is our subconscious mind, and that emotions can become trapped there, festering until they cause physical symptoms and disease. I highly recommend checking out the work of Dr. Bradley Nelson, the creator of a system of freeing trapped emotional energy within the body. The system is called Emotion Code, and Dr. Nelson is author of the book by the same name. The study of the subconscious is fascinating in its own respect, and is a whole other topic on its own. In order to get a bigger picture of the moon's effects on us, one must look at different characteristics, such as the placement of Cancer, and what house Cancer is in, along with a variety of other factors that I'm going to discuss. So on a fundamental level, the moon represents your emotions. But the moon is really less about your emotional patterns and what emotions that you feel, but more about your emotional reactions. Your reactions to your own emotions and the emotions of others. So a more accurate description of what the moon is that it represents our psychological habits and patterns of reaction. So the moon is the ruling planet of Cancer, which governs the 4th house. And the 4th house is all about heritage, family, the past, especially the mother. So this makes sense because the characteristics of your particular moon sign show up more when you are in an environment that you're comfortable in, such as home or with close ones. The moon also represents the divine feminine. It's theorized that the moon represents our mothering style, how we nurture others and how we nurture ourselves. As I've mentioned before, Cancer is the ruling sign of the moon. It's the most nurturing, mothering sign of the zodiac. They can, however, be quite moody, with their emotions changing as fast as the moon changes signs, which is approximately every 2.5 days. It's even interesting to note the round moon-like features of a lot of Cancers, which is indicative of their connection with the moon. Being associated with the divine feminine, the moon is said to be connected with the menstrual cycle and the hormones being secreted by the endocrine glands, most notably the pineal gland. This article from science.org reviews this idea and hypothesizes that many women have become out of sync with the rhythms of the moon with the exposure to the modern age and things such as artificial nocturnal light. At this point in the video, I would like to present an idea that I've heard several times about the moon that's a little controversial. If you're anything like me, you probably appreciate seeing different sides of a situation so that you know you have a better chance in overcoming confirmation bias. It's mainstream knowledge that the moon has been part of ritual for a very, very long time, and that it's been idolized and worshipped by many. For millennia, women and men have been performing rituals in correlation with the cycles of the moon, and timing their lives around the moon and its journey through the sky. But what if, by doing this, we're giving our energy away? What if, as we idolize the moon, look at the moon, ritualize our lives around the cycles of the moon, we're actually causing harm to ourselves? What if menstrual symptoms like PMS, cramping, nausea, and other things were not normal symptoms of menstruation, and through time, as we've become out of sync with our higher selves, we develop these symptoms as a sign from our bodies to heal? Presently, I'm still choosing to track my menstrual cycle in correlation with the moon, its cycle, and its position in the sky. The connection between the moon and the menstrual cycle has fascinated me for quite some time. One of the best resources I have found about this topic is Wild Power: Discover the Magic of Your Menstrual Cycle and Awaken to the Feminine Path to Power by Alexandra Pope and Shawnee Woldzitzer. An interesting idea to consider is that when the menstruation period falls on a full moon, a woman is meant to be out in the world accomplishing, using will. And when it falls on or near a new moon, they're meant to be focusing more inwards. This is the neo-pagan symbol called the triple goddess, which shows the different phases of the moon in connection with the different phases of womanhood. The new moon is the young maiden who is excited for the new possibilities before her. The waxing moon represents an innocent young woman. The full moon represents a mother pregnant with a baby, ready to give birth. So the specific phase of the moon that one was born under also has effects on personality. In general, when you're born during the moon phases, as the moon grows in light, you're more extroverted. And if you're born during the disseminating moon, as the light is growing dimmer, you tend to be more reserved, internal, and introverted. Here are some brief descriptions of what being born under each phase of the moon means for an individual's temperament and characteristics. The new moon is the birth of a new moon cycle, and a person born under this moon phase is naturally inclined and drawn towards new beginnings. They sometimes possess a scattered energy, with trying too many things all at once, and they're great at starting things but not as great at the follow-through. With almost a blind faith and a just-do-it attitude, they tend to favor instinct over logic. They're enthusiastic people who tend to avoid the spotlight and have a very childlike innocence and almost a suggestible quality to them. Individuals born under the waxing crescent moon are likely to be very enthusiastic people, but are more realistic and specific about their goals in comparison with new moon people. They almost have a challenge of putting their energy into action. Perhaps they think too much about the future at times. People who are born under the first quarter are ambitious, action, and risk takers, but they may have challenges in controlling their anger, and they need physical outlets. They see challenges in life as something that needs to be conquered. Individuals born under the waxing gibbous moon are often very good at planning and organizing, and they tend to be precise and analytical, and are not usually impulsive, but they still are very creative individuals who can benefit from learning to develop their craft from a mentor. Under a full moon, an individual was born when the moon and the sun were directly opposite of each other, almost like mates looking directly at each other. People born with this phase find that it's during relationships and partnerships that periods of rapid growth and success happens. There's a constant learning about the tension between polarities, and life is illuminated by insights about how to harmonize with people different from themselves. Being born under a waning gibbous, as the moon enters its disseminating phases, life is about giving back to society, about teaching and preaching, and really learning to enjoy the present moment. A theme for people who are born under the waning last quarter moon is all about discarding old patterns. Sometimes people who are born under this phase can pick up and leave everything they've worked for in order to start fresh somewhere else. The balsamic moon, also known as the dark moon, is the last sliver of light before another cycle with the new moon occurs. It corresponds to the old crone, the wise woman, and is related to commitment to one's destiny. When you're born under the balsamic moon, this incarnation is about wrapping up karmic cycles, and you're naturally drawn to endings and taboo topics strewn in mystery, such as death myth and the occult. The particular moon phase at the moment of your birth, in essence, sets the vibratory tone that is the foundation for your specific natal chart. Therefore, the moon's position in a natal chart is a core feature that's interconnected and in a sense directs all other planetary positions and aspects. It's so important that it's almost like the heartbeat of your entire birth chart. Regardless of the position of the moon and its phase at birth, the overall effects of this on one's personality are also subject to the angles that are formed between the moon and other planets. These angles are called aspects in astrology. I will list the major aspects as they relate to the moon now. An opposition is when any planet is 180 degrees or directly across the chart from the moon. For example, the sun is opposing the moon during a full moon. A conjunction is when the moon is within approximately 6 degrees away from any other planet and was super close together at the time of birth. The energy of the moon will work together with and intensify along with the other planet in the conjunction that's within 6 degrees away from the moon. A trine with the moon would cause a 60-degree angle with any other planet. This is a favorable aspect and allows a freer flow of energies between the two celestial bodies, which in this case is a certain planet and the moon. A square happens when the moon is causing the formation of a 90-degree angle with any other planet, and this is a hard aspect that can cause tension between the energies of the moon and the planet that it's squared with. These are just the major aspects. There are many more. Take a look at this chart to see all of the major and minor aspects. If you want to see how the moon is aspected in your natal chart, create your natal chart on astro.com and look to the bottom left to where you see the aspect table. You can see the most common aspects in your chart indicating certain overall themes, as well as looking into the specifics of each planetary aspect, which can uncover details about your personality that just seem to ring true. I hope you enjoyed this little video presenting ideas that introduce the concept of the moon. Please join me for my next video, which I will discuss the moon through each of the signs and the houses. Until then, sending lots of love your way.